Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Scottish Running Podcast with myself, Sean Gaffney, and as you can see, Pete Tucker and his lovely Gran Canarian background there. He's been having some warm weather training with his family in good old Gran Canaria, where I'll be next week, and I'll be doing the exact same, hopefully. So, anyways, Pete, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Like you say, just in Gran Canaria. I've been here. What day are we today? Tuesday. We've been here about a week now. Got 3 or 4 more days to go, and yeah, just trying to build back up slowly. But holidays a little bit different this year to previous years with a little one. But yeah, what we quiet. She's sleeping right there. There we go. But yeah,
Georgia.
it's all good, mate. Having a good time. Eating too much as usual and not running enough. But there we go.
Oh well, that's what holidays are for.
Cool,
So,
cool. Okay, so do you wanna go first, or shall I?
I'll just introduce the guests what we're doing. So, what we're doing. We've got a good guest coming on for you today. This man has competed in the very recently competed in the Marathon des Sables. He is the co-owner of the coaching business, Run Lama as well, and Mr. John
Yep.
O'Donnell, and he's coming on in a wee few minutes or so just to talk to us all about his Marathon des Sables experience and his ultra run experience. But first of all, we just want to go through a couple of recent race results from in and around Scotland recently. So, Pete, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, go on, mate. So we'll just cover a recent race. I think it was it on Sunday just there? I think it was Sunday. So we had the Babcock Shettleston 10K. I was entered in it. I entered the series, but obviously I'm out here, so I missed it, and the swines wouldn't let me transfer or defer. So there we go. I'm sure that the entry fee went to a good home. But okay, just quickly, we won't go on too long on this. But yeah, it looks like the winner was Lewis McAlpine from Stornoway Running Club in 32:03. Second place, Tahar Ghaffari from Shettleston, 32:05. So a close finish there. And Stuart Donachie, Canvas Lang Harriers, 32:23. I just mentioned the fourth guy because I've raced him a few times, and we'll just go down to fourth. Jonathan Moore from Motherwell AC in 32:31. So all in sort of the just close to sub 32:30 there. It's not the fastest of courses, and I think the conditions work great from what I hear. So some good running there, and then on to the ladies. So again, excuse my pronunciation. Finuola Ross, Shettleston Harriers, 34:27, and then our very own Ninka Mulholland from Inverclyde AC, who I had a good head-to-head with in the Silver Nose 5K, which we'll come on to in a minute. She was second in 36:16, followed by Rebecca Russell in third, Bella Houston 37:23. And then very quickly, as I said, we're limited on time, so we'll just mention a few more results, which is the top three on the M40. First place, Oscar Coetzee, Bella Houston, 33:36. Neil Lafferty from local club Green at Glen Park in second, 34:23. And then Big Paul Sorry, Shettleston Harriers, 35:29. I think I could hear him from out here, but there we go. Good run from Big Paul. So that was the men 40. And then men 50, former Inverclyde AC member, Nick Gemmell, Gas Cube Harriers, 35:19. Second, Mark King, Cambuslang Harriers, 35:25. And in third, again, showing their good form in the veterans categories, Paul Monaghan, who's a stalwart in Scottish athletics, Green at Glen Park, 36:10. Always gives 100%, Paul does. So good run in there from those chaps. Let's just see what we've got here. Just to finish off with the Vet 40 ladies. Where are they? Somewhere. Stand by. Okay, we have Sonia Samuels, who's a name that a lot of us will know. Not down as a club. She took the win in 34:17, which is pretty impressive. Second, Michelle Sanderson, Springburn Harriers, 37 minutes. And then Claire Heasman of Helensburgh in third, 39:19. And then finally, onto the ladies Vet 50. We have a winner, Mary Senior, again from Garskeep, 40:25. Marlene Hunter, no club, 45:57. And then third, Aileen Wilson, also of Garskew Harriers, 46.45. So that's it for the Babcock Shettleston 10K. And then I'll just quickly move on to a race that I did in Silvernose, the Shrai Chinmoy 5K, which is also the Scottish 5K Road Champs. So again, I'll go through these fairly quickly. Most of you will know that race is outstanding in terms of the course is a good fast course, and the standard there is phenomenal. I mean, I was just inside the top 200, I think, which is a bit of a kick up the backside for me. Time to get training, but there we go. But the standard was really good. So Scott Sterling taking the win again. He seems to be one of the main men at the moment, normally going head to head with Jamie Crow. No Jamie on that day, but Scott Sterling taking the win, 14.17. Ben Sandilands was next in 14.25. Lewis Hannigan, 14.26. Mohammed Warsomi, 14.31. Ross Good, 14.34. Michael Ferguson, 14.36. James McKinnon, 14.40. Tom Martin, 40.42. And then the top 10 is Luca Fanatoli in 14.44. On to the ladies. This is the senior men, sorry, and then the senior women, not including any other age categories, but I'll come on to them. Taking the win, Stephanie Pennycook, 15.55, great sub-16 there. Second place, Morag Miller, 16.09. Third place, no relation, Stephanie Tucker, 16.18. And then the second Selman to beat me this year, Jenny Selman, in fourth, 16.21. Kirsty Walker next in 16.32 for fifth. Again, our very own Ninka Holland, 16.53, who just got pipped by yours truly in sixth position. And then we have, again, excuse pronunciation, Mia Padmabahan, 16.58 in seventh. Eve McKinnon, 17.08 in eighth. And Cara Mackenzie Tate, 17.12. And making up the top 10 was Holly Little, 17.13 in 10th. Moving on, again, won't go through all of these results, but we have the Vet 40 category. I'll just mention the top four because the chap in fourth is a very well-known Scottish runner who's normally featuring higher up. So it shows you the standard on that day. Stuart Livingston taking the win, 15.09. Gordon Robertson second, 15.12. Ian Whitaker in third, 15.13. And then Grant Bailey in fourth, 15.25. So on to the men 50. John Coyle taking the win, 16.32, very impressive. I think he's Garskew, could be wrong. Justin Carter, 16.42 in second. Stephanie Allen in third, 17.08. Sorry, Steve Allen, I should say, in third, 17.08. And then I'll just finish off with a couple more. So we have the women Vet 40. Sarah Green taking the win, 16.56. Lindsay O'Connor in second, 18.10. Jacqueline Ranger in third, 19.03. And then just to keep us right, so we don't discriminate, we've got everybody here. So we'll just go on to the Vet 50 women. Mary Senior taking the win, 19.16. Julie Wilson, 2018. And in third position for the Vet 50s, Christine Mulholland in 2036. And then I'm going to finish off just with if I will just go for the winners here, because unbelievable, great run here for this young chap. So maybe a name to watch in the future. Angus Wilkinson in first position as an under 15 boy in 15.26. So that's really impressive. He's from East Kilbride. And the under 17 boys winner was a James Alexander, 14.56. Sub 15 there, and he was running for Garskew. So again, that looks promising. The under 20 men, Finley Ross Davey, I think he was second overall in the race, I believe, 14.25. And then on to the junior women, we had taking the win is our very own Scottish podcast interviewee, Natasha Phillips, taking the win in 16.22. Under 15 girls, we had Corey McGugan, 17.08, and then under 17, our very own Millie McClellan Brooks from Inverclyde. So yes, I did get beaten by an under 17 lady from our own club, but fair play, great runner and a promising future. 16.34 for Millie. So that's it. Enough of me wittering on, Sean. You did a 10,000 metre race where I was pacing.
Yeah, and you paced me to an M35 national bronze medal. So thank you, mate. Thank you very much.
Well done, Sean.
Mind you, I think you look at the results, you can see why I got a bronze medal. But yeah, it was a good event. It's always a great
Just
event.
quickly, listen, medaling at a national champs at the end of the day, results speak for themselves. You can only beat who's there. So take it, mate. Well done. More
Um,
to come from.
I hope so. Hope so. And no, it's always a great event. With the Glasgow Athletics Association when they organise the Miler meets. There's loads of them throughout the summer. They've got one in the indoor in the winter, but it was cancelled this year because of the World Indoors. But no, that Friday night was great. Had a good bit of sunshine. It got a bit chilly towards the end of the night, but there's very little wind. Um, Max Abernethy, he won the men's A race, and he broke, the magical 30 minutes on the track. So he was the only one to do it. So it was a really good night. Like I get a couple of wee shouts out, for Paul Friend of Inverclyde AC. He's been working really hard and really consistent the last couple of years, and he won the male 40 category and a
Yeah.
massive PB. So it just shows you the hard work pays off. But I
Yep.
just think a really good special shout out to all the pacemakers that night. There was people like yourself, but then you get like Mark Docherty, pacing two races, and
It was.
he's
Yeah. Yeah.
quite superhuman. So big thank you to everyone that night, and it was a great event. Thank you to Glasgow Athletics Association for putting it on. It was absolutely, and also Scottish Athletics as well. So that was pretty much it from the 10,000 meter night. I just wanted to highlight how such a good event it is. They've got a couple of one upcoming race. So National Running Week is coming up. The week of what's the our race that we organised is the 5th of June. It will be from the 3rd of June, right until the 9th of June. So there's going to be lots and lots and lots of activities you can do for running. We'll come and try sessions, etc. as well. As Inverclyde AC, they're hosting. It's a trail race in Greenup up the Cup, and all proceeds for this race are all going towards the Athletic Trust Scotland. We're going to put a link on along with
Yeah.
this episode for anyone who wants to get more information on Athletics Trust Scotland, and we'll also put the entry down for the link to enter the race as well. And also as part of your entry, it's you get a raffle ticket as well, so you could be lucky and get a raffle ticket. There's prize money as well for the first, second, third in men's movements.
All right.
Here and it's £50, £30, and £20, so not too bad. Nice wee
Listen.
nice little earner there. So for some people, so it could
Yeah.
be quite a good wee night. And here's hoping there is some good weather that night as well. So we'll post all them details on after this episode.
Good stuff. Yeah, sorry, Sean. Just come in there, and again, we talked beforehand. I'll just mention we've got the Scottish Veteran Harriers Club. Although it's a veterans, predominantly a veterans race. It's also an open race, and it, again, normally attracts a good standard of athlete, and it is a fast course. I think it's 3 laps. I've done it several times, so I should know. But the only thing I would say is David Henderson had a sort of what do you call it, a square go with a green electricity box or telephone box, and Davey came out on top, obviously. So, yeah, properly battered into that one year. But it's a great fast course, 3 laps around the business park in Clyde Bank. And that is on the 26th of June at 7:30. You can enter it just by going onto the Scottish Veteran Harriers Club, searching that on Facebook. I think you can enter the day. If you can, someone will correct me if not. Go there and enter early. Registration's from 6:30 onwards. So have a look at that. Really good 5K. And so I just, since you mentioned Paul Friend, that reminds me, a couple of mentions I forgot. Silvernose, just quickly, as they're notable people that are relevant to us in our Scottish Running podcast sort of circle. Jonathan Roebuck from Inverclyde AC, our club, he ran 15:49. So again, that's good running. A friend of mine, Neil Renault, originally from south of the border, Mal 40, I think he was 9th in the Vet 40 category, 16:06, so a good run from him. And then again, Paul Friend, as you say, he's in a purple patch of form at the minute. He done me there. He was the 16th Vet 40 home, 16:33 chip time. And then my training partner and bestest friend in the whole wide world, from Gascue Athletics Club, was Craig Shields in 16:41 chip time. And then obviously yours truly, Pete Tucker, where was I? 21st vet 40, 169th overall. So 16:46, but I'll take that. It was a decent run for where I'm at. I was obviously not hoping to be under 17, but where I'm at, that was not a bad run. So just got beaten by Shieldsy there. And then final mention is a guy that I'm currently working with and giving some advice to, although he doesn't ever listen to me. It's just a joke. No, Phil Gillen. He's what is he? He's 15 weeks into a 16-week plan. So, yeah, just started his taper now. And he doesn't run for a club, but he'll be signing up for Inverclyde AC. Talks already in motion. And he ran 17:12. But bearing in mind, he's running the heavy leg. So he's clearly got a sub 17 in him, and he'll be on my coattails in no time at all. But, yeah, he's looking for a sub 2:45 at Edinburgh in less than a couple of weeks' time. So no pressure, Phil. Cheers, Sean. Nice to catch up with you, mate. And obviously we're, like you say, you're in Gran Canaria next week. We decided we wouldn't come at the same time. Be a bit awkward, wouldn't it? But I have laid down one segment at least. So the challenge is on, and live on the Scottish Running Podcast. I'll tell you right now, if you take the segment, like just check out my runs. There's one crown. It's a 7.5k segment, mountainous, and you're better on the hills than me. If you take that crown off me, I will give you 20 English or Scottish pounds. Okay, so let me know if you want to accept the challenge. Anyway, cheers, guys.
Thanks so much for that, Pete. Hopefully my heart goes back into rhythm and I can destroy your segment.
Yeah, no, hope the old tickers are all good, mate. So yeah,
hopefully, man. But yeah, so like we said at the start of the episode, we had Mr. John O'Donnell, who's speaking about his experience at the Marathon des Sables. And here's what John had to say. Hello. How are you, Pete?
I'm good, Sean. How are you?
Sensational. It's been a while since we did the episode. Well, and a while since we did an episode together. It was me, you, and I honestly can't remember the last one we did together, but the last episode was with Colin Thomas. But get a new episode today with Mr. John O'Donnell.
That's right.
He's a good guy. He's from Port Glasgow, which is close to Greenock, so and close to Bishopton as well, Pete. So it's like three neighbours having a good conversation. Yeah.
That's it. Okay, yeah. So as you say, Sean. So John O'Donnell. Really pleased to welcome you on as our guest. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing very well, guys. Thanks for having me. I've been a huge fan of you guys in the podcast for quite some time. So yeah, I'm kind of pinching myself a wee bit, if I'm being honest.
Brilliant. No, thanks for coming on. I mean, I know you've spoken to some of our rivals in the past. They're not really rivals, just other competitors. So we're probably not quite as polished, but thanks for the compliment there. We just kind of wing our way through it and have some good chat about some running. So
very welcome. Look forward to it, guys.
Brilliant. Okay, so obviously it's the first time I've sort of met you properly. So having just a little chat before we came on there, but obviously you're the sort of co-owner or founder, if you like, of the Run Lama with I think it's Chris McClellan.
Yeah.
Obviously interested to hear a little bit about that. I know there's quite a squad within my local vicinity with the t-shirts, and they're all involved. And part of the sort of Run Lama movement, which is good. But yeah, just a couple of things I've got here for yourself. Like Sean says, from the port, a good port boy. So the second, I don't know where I get this information from, but I've got the second best export from the port after Chris Mackay. So yeah, you're not in the port anymore. But and then we've got Ardgarten Trail Race. You won that in 2023. Third in the Great Glen, I think 2021, and obviously you've podiumed at the Noon Ultra, and then more recently, which we're really keen to hear a little bit about, Marathon des Sables, amazing run, 30 hours 9 minutes, fourth British guy home, first vet 50, and I think 32nd overall in the race. Is that right?
Yes, that's second overall, and second V50.
Second vet 50. Sorry, yeah. Brilliant. Well, first of all, I mean, amazing achievement, even just to complete it. I think that was quite long in the planning, if I'm not mistaken. Lots of runs with bags, so I hear, and that. So yeah, just tell us a little bit first about your kind of backstory, how you got into running, and we'll move on to your achievements.
No problem whatsoever, guys. I say thanks for having me on, and obviously don't hesitate if cutting across if I ramble on a bit much, but yeah. So I'm a bit of a late developer, if I'm being honest, to the whole kind of running scene. I was a keen runner in school. so I was one of those kind of keen kids, when it was kind of blowing a hoolie, in high school, doing the cross country, and I was always out there and keen to get stuck in. So regularly finishing kind of top 1, 2, 3 in the year, and then, just kind of life takes over, work and stuff and family. So running just completely fell to the wayside. I got into things like scuba diving and Munros and stuff, so they've all been pretty active, but the running just get parked in favour of lots of other stuff, mountain biking and what have you. So it wasn't until I was 39, so I'm 50, I've just turned 50, so I've only been really running for properly for pushing 11 years now, and that was the result of having a bit of a light bulb moment one night. I was probably halfway through bottle of red wine number 2, and I don't know, I just had a moment where I thought, you used to be really quite active, and I'd piled on quite a bit of weight and stuff, and so I got myself along to one of the local park runs here in Pollock Park, and that's really when it all started, if I'm being honest. And it's a bit of a cliche, I know, but went along, loved it, nervous as anything, if I'm being honest, first time, but went along, loved it, loved the vibe, and of course it's then just that whole week in, week out, numbers are starting to improve, times are improving, waistlines reducing a wee bit, and all those other kind of feeling generally much better, and that was it. I was absolutely hooked from that point. But yeah, so even back then, the idea of marathons and stuff isn't even something I contemplated. I just went through that kind of normal transition of doing the 5K, signing up for a 10K, and maybe a half marathon. But things like marathons and ultras, I always kind of in my head were just reserved for other people. Superhumans, not me. So times started to come down really quite quickly. Before I knew it, I was down at 17 minutes for 5K. And so, it's maybe when other people comment, on your times, that's when you think, well, hang on, maybe I could do something a bigger, harder. So I got into the kind of marathon cycle, I suppose. But again, I was always on my own, so I'd do Loch Ness, Dublin, Barcelona. I tend to travel a wee bit to marathons, and I like that kind of aspect of traveling and seeing other cities and what have you. So I get into that kind of routine and quickly got sub 3. I was down at 2:59, and as I say, this was all probably in the first couple of years of running, and there was a degree of pinching myself, if I'm being honest, but the numbers, were stacking up. So I was obviously getting better and better as I was getting older and older. And it was a chap from Giffnock. So what my daughter was in Giffnock athletics, and what happened was they were looking for coaching assistants, so I signed up. And then so Giffnock North put me through my coaching training, and I loved it. So I was coaching under 15s for years, and my daughter then came to a kind of natural end when she was approaching kind of 15, 16, she decided to focus on her studies. So it was that kind of point I probably made the decision that I, served my time almost within Giffnock. But anyway, I saw that's a Giffnock connection. But it was a guy who was a really, Ricky in Giffnock, really experienced ultra runner. And he planted the seed to me about, how he thought Devil of the Highlands, for example, would be the ideal ultra for me. And as I say, I was still thinking that ultras and what have you are for other people, for superhumans. Anyway, long story short, I signed up for the Devil. Didn't have a clue what I was doing, starting on the start line, complete imposter syndrome.
And what year was it done?
I think that was 2019, so not that long ago, really. But again, I had a knack for it. I think I finished 11th or something like that. I might be wrong. I'm sure it was 11th in just under 7 hours. Rings a bell. But I think it was 6:59 or 7:01 or something like that anyway. And again, my first outing on an ultra, and I was really, really surprised myself with the results. But ever since then, that was me kind of hooked on the the bigger, more challenging events.
Brilliant. Okay. Yeah, no, so that's I mean, that's impressive. It's good to hear how you got into it. Like you say, I think we started off with a park run, around 22.5 minutes, and then obviously now obviously, yeah, absolutely flying. And was it marathon debut 3:16 Loch Ness as well? Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. God, your intel is pretty good.
Well, as we said, I did a little bit of research. I don't always get it quite right, but obviously we've got a mutual friend with my neighbour Martin Gray.
Yes.
No, you, Martin, well, do you get many training runs in with Martin, or how?
Oh God, yeah. We're regular. Yeah. So Martin and I are going to Berlin in September.
Oh, you both going?
Yeah. So Martin and I are part of we've got an eclectic wee group of guys, all middle-aged guys, and I met Martin, I don't know, 7-8 years ago, and we just clicked and hit it off. So yeah, and we're very similar running times.
Okay.
Although he's definitely got the jump on me recently with marathons. He's kind of looking at kind of 240. I'm looking at 250.
Right.
But for years and years we were neck and neck.
Yeah.
But
that's good because we've obviously, as I said beforehand, we'll talk a little bit about the Run Lama movement, which is great. I know you do your Monday run clubs as well, and there's a squad around here with the t-shirts. I mean, I think it's Martin Campbell as well, one of my local guys. I see him donning the t-shirt, and then obviously you've got another Gray who's obviously the better looking brother, Johnny. So it's nice got him on board as well. Yeah, so there you go. He's also faster than mine as well, sort of speed wise, because he's got a lot of the segments around here. So there's often a bit of a battle, a sort of in family battle between the Greys. But then sometimes there's one or two of us here that rock up and just try and mess with their sort of segments, and they get a bit sensitive sometimes. So yeah,
they do. They like their social media, the Grey boys.
Oh, they do, yeah. Martin is a photogenic guy. I just saw, in fact, I was just glancing through social media. I think I saw a photo of him at a barber's. Maybe I don't know why, because he's got a similar hairdo to me. So I think he was getting some trimming with the beard. But there you go. Sorry, John. I just realised what I'll just do quickly. I'm just going to sort of jump back before we continue about your journey and move to MDS. I'll just go through with my sort of 10 questions quickly, and then I'll let Sean come in and get a word in since he's not spoken much. But let's just kick off with this quickly then. So, and again, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this because we're about to talk about it. Your best achievement or proudest PB?
Yeah, it has to be MDS. It's absolutely, yeah.
Great. Okay. Yeah, we'll come on to that then. And then, favourite male athlete, please.
Male athlete. For me, it has to be Jim Walmsley.
Oh, yeah.
American ultra runner. I've just loved his career. I'm not saying like I've stalked him or followed him closely, but I kind of have a wee bit. I just love what he done since he broke onto the scene. I like his attitude. I like his approach. And the results, smashing Western States 100, on his debut, and then smashing it again, and then how he bounced back, from some pretty disastrous outings. 2 years in a trot, he made a complete mess of it. So yeah, Jim Walmsley is I absolutely admire that guy and what he's done.
That's a good shout. It's good to get some different names coming up there. Now that's good. Okay, and then your favourite female athlete.
So my favourite female is one I know that you've had before. So it's Liz McColgan.
Yeah, of course. Great show.
So Liz is, I don't need to speak about her career, right? But as I was growing up, she was, the lady. And I'm not going to stretch it by saying I've kind of gotten to know her a wee bit. I haven't, but we've had a couple of changes. And she's just the loveliest person ever. For example, when I approached her to ask her would she consider endorsing what we were doing with Run Lama, she took the time to listen to what we were up to, and it wasn't just some sort of kind of sales pitch. And she could not be more supportive. And she gave us that endorsement to put on our website. So
that's brilliant.
Really. She's obviously very, very busy out there in Qatar doing her thing. But yeah, so listen, it's not very often, but if ever I say a thanks for something, she always replies, kind of thing. So yeah, it has to be Liz for me.
No, that's good. Yeah, brilliant shout. Yeah, and that's good to hear. We've yeah, obviously the dealings we've had with her, she's been unbelievable. Yeah, really, really helpful. Just so down to earth and
Exactly.
So, okay, right. Your favourite football team?
Football team.
Yeah,
I don't have one. Sorry.
you must be a Morton fan, surely. Come on.
I'm not. I'm one of those oddballs, middle-aged guys from west of Scotland that has no interest in football.
Probably the best way to be fair, in the west of Scotland.
Well,
So.
if I'm being truthful, when you grew up in Port Glasgow, right in the 80s, there was this kind of, you had to pick a colour, had to be blue or green kind of thing, and I think there probably was something in my subconscious where I didn't want to kind of like, what's the word, label myself. I just didn't, because I felt that it invited conflict or in one way or another. So I just decided to go neutral all the way, and never been interested. I tell you what, tell a lie, my nephew plays for Livingston, so I'll pick Livingston.
We'll go with that, Livy. Okay. Right, next question. Yeah, your favourite movie?
Movie? I knew you were going to ask this. I mean, it's like the hardest question ever, you know what I mean? And I thought I'd come up with something really quirky, but nah, I'll just go with a Hitchcock Psycho. Right. The original. Love that film. It's one of those films that if it's on, or I'll watch it, I'll just watch it from beginning to end. Doesn't matter when. I mean, things like Wolf of Wall Street and stuff like and Platoon and all these, Terminator are in exactly the same category. I could watch them over and over and over, but Psycho.
Yeah. Okay, good shout. Brilliant.
That's quite fitting that Pete asked you that, and you're like, yeah, Psycho. Pete asked you questions.
No, I know. What does that say? Like,
I know there was a bit of a genre there. I mean, Platoon and like Wolf of Wall Street. I don't know, slightly different types of films, but I get where you're coming from.
Listen, all the Rambo films and all the Chevy Chase films, how do you pick, right? And I challenge anybody not to watch The Wizard of Oz at Christmas. Do you know what I mean? You just anyway. So bad.
Good stuff. Okay, and then most interesting person you've met through running, other than Martin Gray.
Most interesting person. Oh, that's a challenge on that. Most interesting person. Tracy, I didn't know that one was coming up. That's stumped me.
Come back to that one.
Come back to that one.
Okay, and then again, might have a similar answer here to previous, but or you let us know. What's your favourite race? I know you're quite keen on the Greenock Park run, but I that's not even a race. So, to
be honest, I think favourite one, bit random, but I'm going to say Great Glen Way.
Yeah.
The Great Glen Way, yeah, I think you mentioned it at the beginning. So that was the biggest event that I attempted, 100k plus.
Yeah.
And stood in that start line like a complete imposter. But had a plan, stuck to it, and executed it like.
Yeah. And so third in that one, is that right?
Third in that one. So had it not been for
MDS, sorry.
No, if it hadn't been for MDS, that would have been my biggest achievement. That was my proudest moment. Going from start line, feeling like a complete imposter, to being on the flipping podium. It was like, So yeah, Great Glen's is a great event.
Right. Okay. Well, the bucket list then, Sean. Right. Okay. Favorite session.
Favorite session is, or has been for the last couple of years, has been the hill sessions with the bag. I know it's a bit sadistic, but it's the quality of those sessions, So the hills around where I live at the moment, I mean, they're tough enough as it is, but you throw the bag on and you're getting a really quality session.
Yeah.
So yeah, for the last couple of years, it's been that, and I do enjoy, if I'm being honest. I mean, enjoy is maybe stretching it, but 800s, the 10 800s at target marathon pace.
Yeah.
The quality, again, after a session like that, you just feel, you've kind of earned your stripes. If you're nailing 10 of those 800s.
Okay. So you've not, you mentioned the hills there. You haven't got a Clune Bray to run up where you are then, have you?
Listen, the Clune Bray is actually quite easy going compared to the hills run about where I stay. I know.
Okay. Fair enough. Right, moving on, your favourite food?
Favorite food? King prawn linguine.
Ingredient. Okay, good shout, good shout. And then your final. I'm going to leave out the question that I often ask about poker because unless you play it, but we'll move on. Final question: phobia or pet hate?
Christ. Sorry, pardon my language. Phobia. Oh, that's a real. I don't have any phobias. I'm not really like squeamish or anything.
You can just say nothing. You've got nothing at all.
I've got nothing at all. I've got lots of pet hates, probably some that I can't repeat here.
You tell us afterwards, okay? And then that's pretty much it. But just if you manage to come up with something, the most interesting person you met through running, then.
Les McColgan.
There we go. Yes. Oh, you've actually met Liz. Have you met her in person then?
I have. Yeah. At the Stirling Marathon.
Right.
But I mean that was quite a few years ago before Run Lama and all that. But no, the chap was at Stirling Marathon, and as you hit the nail on the head, down to earth, dead approachable, dead smiley, you know, and I've followed her career for.
Were you? I'm interested. Were you slightly? I think I would be. To be fair, were you slightly starstruck when you met her? Because I'm thinking from personal experience. I was at Wimbledon at the tennis tournament a few years ago with my wife, and she's obviously a big Andy Murray fan. And we went to one of the practice courts, and he was literally just there, and then he came up right over to us. And I was like, "Oh, Andy, how you doing?" And she was just no words could come out. She just didn't know what to say. But she's a big fan of him, and she bottled it.
I think with Liz, she's so approachable.
Yeah,
there's an immediate sense of feeling at ease, if you know what I mean. No, she was absolutely lovely.
Yeah, I think to be fair, Andy Murray's got a slightly different demeanour, but there we go. We know he's a good guy, a good character actually. So right, Sean, over to you, mate. Anything you want to come in and have a chat about?
So you were talking about like your greatest achievement today. It's the Marathon des Sables. So just for our viewers that don't know what it is, so what is it's not a marathon, but what is the des Sables? But what makes it so challenging?
Right. So from the top, Marathon des Sables it's a 7-day event in the Sahara Desert in Morocco. So it's self-supported, and by that I mean all they provide you with is water and a shelter over your head at night and nothing else. Right. So food, kit, mandatory kit and essential kit that you need, all calories, everything has to be in your bag. Hence I've been training for 2 years plus, 2 years almost on the dot with this building up to this 9 kilogram bag. So lots and lots of detail and rules and conditions. But basically, so each day is a different distance. So I'll round up just for the sake of ease. So it's 30k, 40k, 85, and then 40, 30, 20. So this year's event was the 38th event, and it was a total of 252 kilometers. So yeah, every day is different. Most days are point to point. So basically, your camp you're arriving at in the evening, is in a different location to where you started, obviously. So yes, it's this. I don't want to overcomplicate it. There's 6 stages, but they give an allowance of 2 days for the longer event if needed. So what that meant was I finished the longer event, the long day, in 12 hours. So what that meant was I started at 6 a.m. and got back at 6 p.m. It meant I had a full night's sleep and then a full day rest the following day before then heading into the marathon day. So, but I mean, there's power walkers out there who are coming in, like in 34 hours on that long day, and they've spent 2 afternoons out in that sun in the heat. So yeah,
that's stage 3, John. Sorry, that's stage 3, is it?
So 1, 2. Stage 3 is the long day. Yeah. It's
35k, 53 miles. Let's put that into perspective. I mean, that's insane.
And so the terrain is. I mean, it's not all Lawrence of Arabia type sand dunes. Now, a lot of it is but a lot of it is dried riverbeds, mountain ridges, technical climbs up to top of mountain ridges, a wide open. The only time I've seen anything like it is like in the westerns, the deserts that are flat as a pancake and just go on for miles and miles with absolutely nothing, zero features, and a kind of cracked, almost like lunar landscape. That's the way I was kind of trying to describe it in my head. So the terrain is very, very different each day, and within each session, each day itself is very different, if that makes sense. But usually you would find there would be a dunes section most days. So yeah, going up and over, kilometre after kilometre of sand dunes is just that was the big thing for me, was some of the sights, the landscapes. It was so jaw-dropping at every turn, and every time you got over a ridge. It was just indescribable, really was. It was that was worth the training alone, just to see and experience those landscapes. It's so hard to describe. So that was Marathon des Sables, and so I did pretty well.
Yep.
Actually, it started from, bear in mind, since this, we put it in context. It's not lost on me how lucky I was to go out there. It's not an inexpensive thing to do, but it was for my 50th. So I turned 50 on the Thursday. The same day I flew to Gatwick to then fly to Morocco. So the event started on April the 14th, and I was like 50 on April the 11th. So I was one of the youngest 50th. I know. It's such a cool 50th present. And wife and family and all the rest of it, support and what have you. I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something. So I did pretty well. It started from just survive, just bring yourself back alive, because you can train. Of course, you can put in the training for the running, but the one aspect that was always going to be difficult for a wee skinny white guy, from a port was the sun.
That's what I was going to ask was, before you go on and explain how you did that, what kind of temperatures were you running in?
So, I mean, I'm going on kind of chat around camp, I had basically zero technology other than my watch. Phone was on airplane mode and stuff like, only took that to take some photos. But somebody reckoned that they captured a 55 one, I know, going through the dunes section one day. And I do remember there was one day, it was almost like not quite a ravine. Let's call it a ravine. And there wasn't a breath of wind. And the sun was black, absolutely beaten down into this kind of ravine. And a dried out ravine. And it was just relentless. It was relentless. But yeah, somebody reckoned 50, mid-50s that day. So that was always my worry. But my plan from day one was always just run to the conditions. And I mean, when I say conditions, I mean the weather and the terrain.
Yeah.
And I just stuck to that plan. And it served me really, really well. So how I trained for the heat, there's basically three ways to train for the heat. One is you get yourself in a heat chamber, but the nearest one to me is University of Western Scotland, which is almost an hour away. So I'd be taking like an afternoon out my day, just to get there, to spend an hour there, to come back, and they can replicate all sorts of environments in this chamber. So I didn't do that. The other option is to go out to Morocco a week or two earlier and acclimatise. Obviously, that's for cost and time. That just wasn't an option either. And the third one is from about 1 month out from the event, you get yourself in a sauna. And so like any running training plan, you increase the volume, so the number of trips to the sauna, and you start gradually increasing the time you spend in the sauna. So on the week going to Morocco, I was in the sauna every day, built up to that every day. And I was up to an hour, and I had one of these. Have you seen the Pro Viz silver jackets? You've seen them, the dead reflective jackets cyclists and runners wear.
Okay.
It looks, I've seen them now. It looks like a foil. Anyway, silver jacket. So I was wearing that in the sauna.
You get some strange look.
There's two types of folk I've worked out in the world. there's the type of folk that will give you the strange look, and there's the type of person that's like, right, what's the jacket about, mate? What's the story? And I'll be honest with you, the latter is better because time absolutely flies when you're sitting in a sauna with a jacket and you're talking to some stranger about, heading off to, so that's how I decided to try and train for it. And listen, it's not an exact science, but I think it helped.
No.
I definitely think it helped me. The heat didn't, I'm not saying it didn't hinder me, of course it did. It would have slowed me down a bit, but it wasn't something I was constantly worrying about. The aid stations, so they provide an aid station roughly every 10 to 15 kilometres. And at the aid station, it's a chance to top up fluids and get a kind of jug of ice water over your head.
Yeah.
And then in and out, crack on, keep going, and repeat basically.
Yeah.
So as I say, I did. It went from just come back and survive to what they do is they publish what do you call it, like a league table, a scoreboard every day up in camp, so you can see where you are relative to other participants. So it became clear. I mean, after day one, I think I was 60th out of 975 runners or something like that. So
I didn't realise the field was that large for such a.
It can target about 1,000 runners.
Right.
So I was always dropouts. I think it was about 950 set off from day one. But rounding, I call it 1,000. If anybody asks, I say 1,000. So I think I was roughly about 60th after day one, and I didn't push it at all, guys. That wasn't me, trying to set any records. That was almost like a recce run, just letting everything settle in. To say I've been training with this bag. The organisers insist that you have to carry a minimum of 6.5 kilos. And that's to ensure, it's for health and safety reasons. It means you're not cutting any corners and you are taking the minimum calories a day. So it's minimum 2,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
And you've got all the mandatory kit. So put that all in context, my bag was about 7.8 kilos. But I was training with 9. So I was really comfortable with that weight. So day one, it was all about getting out there, understanding the terrain, the conditions, moving in the sand and what have you. And feeling really okay after day one. And then day two, I think I was down at like low 50s and still feeling really, really fresh.
John, can I just check there, mate? Obviously, you mentioned about day one and day two, and obviously we've got stage 1 to 6. So, am I right in saying are there kind of set start times each day then, and then it's just like an accumulative time from those stages? Is that how it works?
Correct. Exactly right. What it is. The only kind of an anomaly is for the long day. There's a wee bit of a handicap in that if you're in the top 50, it sounds really contrived, but I had a strategy not to be in the top 50 after day 2. And the reason being is the top 50, they get set off 90 minutes after everyone else on the long day. So what that means is they are, think about it, when we set off, I think it was in 55th position. So we set off at 6 a.m. I was on that mountain ridge by about 8 a.m., maybe 9.
Right.
Before the sun's even, really thinking about getting up. Whereas, the guys and girls that set off 90 minutes later, they're up there at midday, in the full.
I getting a little bit more recovery. So, I mean, how?
But not much because, but not worth the 90 minutes. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
Not worth the 90 minutes, not a chance. So no, I definitely the strategy, and I was feeling quite nervous about that, if I'm being honest, to not be the top 50. I just missed it. And it's because you make some. I mean, I've made some lifelong friends, and one of the young guys from down south. So he was pushing every day, and sure enough, there he was. He got in like 45th position. So I caught up with him later on, and he said it was hell on earth. It was like, actually kind of, it doesn't matter, details are important, but he fell really quite far down the pack as a result of that, 90-minute delay.
Yeah.
And just being out there and getting absolutely roasted. But
Right.
So yeah, there's all these different kind of strategies and thoughts going through your head. But so yeah, I did really, really well on the long days, say finishing that, I think, in 12 hours dead. And then from that point, I was almost like, right, race is on. You know, this is gone from just survive to, no, I'm really going to try and race this, because after the long day, then you've got a marathon, then 30 kilometres, and then 20 kilometres on the last day. And on the last day, I think I did that 20k half marathon in about 1:47. And genuinely, the terrain is like boulder fields, sand dunes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was not a slow finish at all. Me and a young lad from the tent 48 were really just going for it in the last day. So no, I done absolutely. It was a once and done. I mean, I'll never go back, like, but
right.
So glad I did it.
And just tell us a little bit more about your nutrition sort of plan and what you did.
Yeah, so the rules are quite strict. As I say, you have to have a minimum of 2,000 calories a day, and everything is about weight. Absolutely everything is about weight. So nothing goes in the bag unless it's providing some sort of benefit or managing some sort of potential risk. Otherwise, it's not going in the bag.
Okay.
So, for example, the clothes that you wear on day one are exactly the same clothes that you sleep in, and exactly the same clothes that you're wearing at the end of the event. You maybe have a pair of racing tights, for example, and a rab jacket or similar type jacket, just for nighttime in case it gets too cold.
Yeah.
But otherwise that is it. So everything's pared right back. Anyway, so that's a bit kind of context to the food. So the food, I went with a strategy of about 2,500 calories a day. And that usually consisted of this company called Tent Meals and Expedition Foods. So these packs, if you think army ration pack, dried kind of food that you add water to, and it was that kind of product I was using. So you'd have a breakfast, then you'd have a main meal. And again, because weight is so key, what you do is you open the packs and decant them into, little bags you get at airport security.
Yep.
So you decant your food into one of those, again, just to save weight, because these bags, the original packing's foil, so it's quite heavy, when you multiply them by, say, 14 meals. Okay. So all these little techniques and tips to try and get the weight to absolute minimum. So breakfast consisted of one of those, evening meal consisted of one of those, and during the day, zero luxuries. I had one pepperami a day, and on average about 3 tailwind.
Yeah,
it was a one double serving of tailwind every 20 kilometers, and that was the formula, and that's what I stuck to every day. 20k, a double tailwind, and that was really it. But a couple of, maybe one instant coffee a day, and that genuinely was it. So in the tent, you end up starting to negotiate and barter for like calories. So I found one day I didn't have my pepperami for some reason, don't know why. So pepper this is really boring, I know, but pepperamis get 99 calories.
Yeah.
And one of the young lads in the tent, he was getting fed up with his peanut butter. So he had a little pouch of peanut butter, 600 calories, and he was dying for a pepperami. So I was able to negotiate a pepperami for 600 calories worth of peanut butter. But let's see, when you're out there, right, you're switched off from the rest of the world. These are the important things, It's
right, yeah.
Yeah, you're stripped. Honestly, you're stripped right back to the basics. One lady said you quickly become feral. Is that how you pronounce it? Feral. Yeah. Within about 24 hours, you're just stripped back to
sort of football terms. I mean, talking of like the Kings. I mean, that would be like, I don't know, your what do you call it? It was peanut butter and a pepperami. So the pepperami would be like getting rid of like Henrik Larsson and then getting in like Stephen Kenny Dalglish, someone like that.
Yeah, I kind of get what you mean. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
You agree with that, Sean?
Yep, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
But see, when you're talking about the nutrition of it as well, but then you said you had to wear the same clothes. Also, you sweated in those clothes, you
Oh,
slept,
aye, aye.
etc. So for me, I want to know because when I was training for marathon and stuff, my biggest fear was the chafe downstairs. You
Aye,
know,
aye.
so how bad was the chafe that you experienced?
Absolutely. I mean, I sound like a bit of a kind of weirdo, I suppose. There was zero, right? There was absolutely
Really?
zero, absolutely
Wow.
zero. And so I had anti-chafe. So that's one of your essential items. Do you know what I mean? It's something I don't experience here generally. Running at home. Equally, so the MDS is famous for destroying people's feet. So I didn't have a single blister, not one.
Wow.
Uh, and the medic tents, I mean, so the young lads that were sharing my tent, their feet were pretty messed up, and they were at the medics. So the medics were brilliant. And the whole support infrastructure is absolutely amazing, like utterly amazing. The setup is almost like, a field hospital setup. You see, if you remember remember the MASH program? So we've got that kind of set up for any medical emergencies. And they've got specialist podiatrists and foot doctors out there, and not a single blister did I have, and some people's feet were absolutely destroyed. And I don't know. I mean, I don't. It's the rude of me to suggest why that is, but I can only think maybe it's a lack of specific training. I don't know, but I really don't know.
Maybe
I
they
can't.
tried it, maybe they made the big mistake of, oh, I bought these new shoes, so I maybe just tried it.
Aye,
But
I
like,
think it's. I think it's maybe all of that. It's new shoes or a lot of city slickers that maybe are unfamiliar with hills and trails. I don't know.
yeah.
It might be all of that together.
So see, like also in the marathon world, it's all Nike, Alpha, Fly, etc.
Yeah.
The marathon, des-sables. So what is the kind of go-to shoe? What's the kind of most popular, like kind of
I,
running apparel in general?
I would say it's the ones I had, the Hawker ATR sevens.
Cool.
They're comfy. So you don't need an aggressive mud plugger type sole in the desert. You need something that's quite wide. So it's kind of spreads your weight on the sand, if that makes sense. And
Aye.
the Hawker's quite a nice, big, floaty, wide, very light kind of shoe. And what you do is so there's a guy in London that specialises in it. You send them away to him, and he velcros. He stitches on Velcro around the shoe, and then that's how you attach your gaiter. So you have these big, almost like knee-high, calf-high gaiters that go on your leg, obviously, and then around the shoe, and they're attached with Velcro, and that's what keeps the sand out. So you run every day with these gaiters on. So when you get the Velcro on, the shoe does take on a slightly different characteristic. It kind of stiffens up a wee bit, if that makes sense. So again, there was people sending their shoes off to get Velcroed like the week of the event and stuff like that. Whereas I'd sent mine away at flipping January or something, and I'd ran maybe 50, 60, 70 kilometres in them just to kind of loosen them up a wee bit. So as I say, when I was training for this event for 2 years, I mean, every aspect, like I was practicing with the dried food and all sorts.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like what you've done there is you've used the 7 Ps: prior planning and preparation prevents piss poor performance. So
completely. So that my strategy was always just mitigate all risks and avoid surprises as best I could once I was out there, So my kit absolutely nailed for like weeks and weeks before it. I kept unpacking it and trying to save a wee bit of weight here, there, and everywhere continually. That even means cutting off like loose bits of straps on the bag and
yeah.
But there is how can I put it? I mean, you could start like cutting sleeves of jackets and stuff like that, if you want to get ridiculous, but you've there's got to be a wee bit of comfort, I think, so people did get their bags down to like 6.5 kilograms. Don't know how they did it, right? I probably do actually. It was probably a powdered diet. So if you go like for a powder diet only, you can shave a bit of weight, but I don't know. There's a bit of it's a pretty tragic experience, right? If you want to enjoy that pepperami, if you know, if you know what I mean. But yeah, so I was happy with my setup, my strategy, and yeah, it seemed it delivered for me.
That's brilliant. I mean, just again, so obviously you had an amazing run and a great achievement. What you must have had, I guess, a rough kind of target in your mind. I don't know whether that was time wise, position wise. So how did it translate to what you wanted and what you achieved?
Yeah, so when I run here in the UK on trails, generally be up Kilpatrick Hills or sections of the West Highland Way, I usually average, and I know it's not an exact science, I usually average 6 minutes per kilometre, right? I just do. Why is it 6? I don't know. It just usually comes out at 6. So, for example, when I did Great Glen Way, 117k, guess what? I finished at 12 hours, 1 minute. It seems to come out at 6 minutes a kilometre, unless I'm hammering it, of course, like an Ardgarten race. But generally speaking, so when I applied that logic across the 252 kilometres, that's what, 25 and a half hours. And then I gave myself a 1 hour buffer for every single stage. So, so the 30k would be 3 hours plus 1, if that makes sense. 40k would be 4 hours plus 1. So I applied that logic, and then that got, weirdly, then that got me to a number of something like 30 hours and 30 minutes. Got me to, that was my kind of, so then when I translated that into previous results and looked at previous results from MDS, I probably get the fright of my life, because that got me potentially top 50.
Yeah.
And so that was like, oh, holy crap! I'm just going with one objective is to survive. When the results started playing out each day, and I realised I was getting top, so after the big day, I think I was down at 35th or something like that. I was like, holy crap, and I'm 20.
I love to hear it when a plan's been executed, and it's nothing better feeling, is it, when it all comes together, because you can't wait for other factors. Things can go wrong. There's so many variables, and obviously 30 hours, 9 minutes, close to a sub 30 there. I mean, I know. You think that was ever on at one point?
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's fun. I was talking to a boy this morning that ran the fling there last week, and he asked the same question. And there was absolutely, there was time. I could probably found an hour, if I'm being honest.
Right.
I mean, I decided to, on the long day, there was a young lad who was doing really, really well. It was his second attempt at MDS. Lovely lad. I've forgotten his name, doesn't matter. Really quite exceptional, like 2.5 hour marathon runner. He's a real machine of a young lad. And anyway, he was having an awful day on this long day. So I decided to almost not console him, but buddy up with him. And I walked like almost 10 kilometers of the last 20k with him.
Right.
Just to make sure he was okay, really, if I'm being honest. And that's what it was all about. So when I was about 10 kilometers out from the finish, and he was okay. By this point, he was in an okay place, and he was, his mood had lifted, and he could see the finish was in sight and what have you. And so I was happy to kind of leave him at that point. But yeah, I hiked basically 10.
That's good. It's good to hear about the sort of camaraderie and friendship. Things you form just through running in those events,
No, exactly, and I think that the lad would have done the same. I can't believe I forgot his name, but we got pretty close out there because we were in that kind of peer group. We were. Yeah. So on the very last day, he was one position ahead of me and something like 90 seconds ahead of me.
Oh right.
But he went like did something crazy like.
Well, we'll check it out on the results then. Just out of interest, because you were the fourth Brit, obviously. So did you know the other guy? Do you know the other guys that were ahead of you then? Who were they?
That's good. Well, so this one young lad, I completely forgot his name. So he finished in front of me. I don't know the other two, if I'm being honest. No, I don't. I don't. The V50 chap that beat me, he was like some Portuguese kind of race snake. He does this stuff for a living. I think he finished 8th overall.
Oh wow!
So, I was kind of really happy to have that caliber of runner. Come second, that caliber of runner. If you see what I mean.
Definitely.
Aye, so I'm really happy with that. But no, I don't. Other than that, I want to say his name was Jake. That's wrong. But anyway, no, other than him, I don't know who the other two Brits were.
What was the what was the winner's time overall?
God, Mohammed. He was probably like 19 hours or something like that.
Oh wow, 19
Aye,
hours. Jesus.
I mean, you can't grasp how, sometimes when you look at marathon runners' times, like 2 hours 50-minute marathon runners' times, and they're running at
Yeah.
like, I don't know, 2:55 a kilometre, things like that. It's bonkers, right? It's hard to grasp just how fast that is until you go try it yourself,
Yeah.
I was saying this to somebody recently. I have only ever broke 3 minutes for 1 kilometre, I think, like once in my life, right? And these marathon runners are running like 2:48, 2:50 a kilometre. Yeah. Anyway, my point being is, so Mohammed is two Moroccan brothers that dominate this event every year, and again they dominated it this year. You can't grasp just how fast they're moving along that sand. They're running at something close to a 3:05 or a 3:10 marathon. Like,
Yeah, so we're talking,
that
well, was it 6:42 or 6:50 a mile was sub 3?
Aye, correct.
So
about 7.
aye, so mid sevens.
Aye.
Faster than that, like.
And listen, that's an average over all of that terrain. All those dried riverbeds, the mountain ridges, the sand dunes. You see when they come. So they set off. Remember, sorry, go back a bit, but they set off 90 minutes after us on that long day. Yeah. So part of the strategy or the ethos or the messaging from the organisers is it gives the slower runners a chance to see the faster runners, because otherwise they would never ever get a chance to see them.
Okay.
And see when they come flying past. So bear in mind, I was probably, I don't know, 3/4 of the way into that day before they come past me. Probably the best part of maybe 60k into an 85k day, something like that. When they come past me, I can't quite remember. But even then, it was like flipping hell. I was literally like standing out the way as they went flying past.
Imagine they did that to London Marathon. Like, right, the lights you need to start an hour before. You see Kipchoge like right hooking a guy dressed up like a fridge, like, come on, you.
No. It's a wild concept, but it worked really well.
Just looking here, John. So I've got it was his brother, I think Rashid El Morabiti, that ran.
Yes.
20 hours, 42 minutes. And then his brother, Mohammed, 20 hours, 42 minutes and 44 seconds. So, wow, there's like, what's that, 25 seconds difference there between them. And then, Moroccan guy in third. And it looks like the first UK guy was up in eighth. John Dewey in 24 hours.
I do. I totally
24 hours.
Yeah, I spoke to that boy. Lovely lad. I do. I remember him very well, actually, now. He wore X-Bionic. He had a grey X-Bionic outfit on all day, every day, nothing else. That was what he wore every day. So we had a really good conversation. I don't think he was loving the last day or the second last day, but otherwise, flying machine, absolute flying machine.
Just having a look here as well. Again, it looks like obviously some of the top women runners running there as well. I think there was, from just what I'm looking at, it looks like there was only a couple sort of ahead of yourself. But I'm just looking here again, no idea who this is, but it looks like an amazing run for a British girl in third, Gemma Game, 32 hours, 18 minutes. Did you come across it?
Yeah, I know exactly who you mean. Yeah, dark-haired girl, absolute brilliant runner.
Yeah, wow,
absolute brilliant runner. So she was. So she was in my little peer group for quite some time.
Okay.
She was awesome. But some of the sites, it's just there's so many stories and experiences, guys. It was just like, it's so hard to articulate.
As well, John, just another question for me. Sorry, I know we're probably getting towards the end of our time here, but again, some of these iconic events that we hear about. Again, I've learned a lot more now from this, so that's been great to learn a lot more about the MDS. And obviously, we hear about sort of comrades and things like that. Do you know much about comrades? How does that comrades compare to this event? Again, I don't really know enough about it, but
I honestly don't. I'm afraid.
Oh, right, okay.
No, it's something that's kind of on my radar, but
something you're aware of a bit like myself. Then. Yeah.
No, the next thing for me is an event in the Pyrenees next year. Well, sorry, Berlin, obviously in September.
Berlin, yeah. And then what's this event in the Pyrenees then?
It's a multi-stage event again, very very similar kind of lengths and distances to MDS, but it's far more hilly. It's climbing as Pyrenees.
Okay. Best of luck with the training for that. I mean, and again, a little plug here. So if anyone wants to kind of get involved, then obviously you're clearly very knowledgeable on these events, and you know, talking from great experience here. So it's just runlama.co.uk, isn't it?
Yeah. Thank all the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Run Lama is our coaching business. Started a year ago, and it's been a huge success. So
good. And why Lama? I mean, I believe llamas can reach up to 40 miles an hour. So is there anything, where's the llama come from?
I couldn't possibly tell you.
Fair enough.
I'll leave it to your imagination. Right, between you and I, it's a talking point. It's nothing more than a talking point. It's a soft, welcoming, non-intimidating kind of animal and brand, and that's what we want to create. You know, we want to create something that is welcoming, inviting, and doesn't have people scared or terrified at the idea of having a coach.
Great.
It's been amazing talking to you. I know you're but it's something a good bit different, you know, getting someone on who has done one of these extreme running events. So it's been amazing listening to your experience.
Oh, listen, it's been a pleasure, and clearly you can see I'm very passionate about the whole thing, and I could go on for a week on MDS alone. You know, I barely scratched the surface, but but listen, it's been a pleasure. As I say, I've been following you guys for absolute ages, and I'm still kind of like what do you call it? A wee bit imposter syndrome that I've finally got to see you, meet you, and not quite in person, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's been great to meet you as well. It's been great.
Excellent. Thank you very much.